Bonjour, Michelle.
Bonjour, Vanelli. How are you doing?
Good, that's all I got. All right, so Michelle, yeah, so Michelle, Rich mentioned you're an extremely talented sports and sport portraiture photographer,
Yeah.
um, and you actually have a really cool pack
Yeah.
of templates that just came
Yes.
out.
Yeah, it's just been released like just like a week ago. I'm really excited about that.
And what's the name of your templates?
It's badass action. What else? What else? It had to be
Good.
called that.
Yeah, for the sports. Well, so for today, what do you want to show us today?
I wanted to share with you a recent picture that I've taken. May I share my screen right now?
Yes.
Or, yeah, okay. Share screen. Let me get the right one. Share. Okay. So are you seeing this
Yep.
Olympic weightlifter? So
He's putting up a few pounds.
almost 400 pounds.
Wow.
It's 397 pounds. And Maxim, that's his name, he was doing a clean and jerk, a really heavy one. I'm gonna just move this. And I thought it would be like the perfect picture to share with you my favorite badass action look. And even more, I want to share with you how you could create your own one at home with Luminar. Is that a good plan for you?
That's perfect.
Okay. So this is my raw file. I just got Max. And let's say I'm going to my favorite look right here. So of course, my favorite ones are my badass preset ones. There are many different looks. My personal favorite one is called Dominate. Dominate. How do you say it in English?
You're right. Dominate.
Dominate. And it's like a desaturated, highly contrasted look with lots of structure, which I really like to do like a sports grid look, which you're really aware of that, V, because you're the one who taught me how to do the sports grid look. And let's start from scratch and see how you could create this type of look at home. So let me go back to history and go to the original one. Okay, so this is the raw file. Basically, my suggestion for you is to use seven different tools. The first one I like to use basically when I edit any type of image is the Enhance AI tool with the Accent AI slider. So I just increase a little bit. And my secret tip is that I really love to use masks. And I like to paint my tools on top of another to create a really three-dimensional style. So what I will do is I will paint this mask, but only I will increase the radius only on the athlete.
Because
So
when you're photographing, especially this event, you can't have flash with you, can you?
no, I don't. I never use flash.
Yeah, I mean it would be bad. I mean, 400 pounds and you flash the poor guy in the face.
Might not be happy to see you there. So I've just painted.
Yeah, this is interesting. So what you're really doing is you're showing people how you would actually light it if you were allowed to use flash. This is cool.
Exactly. Yeah. And there are many tools that helps us achieve this result. And this is one of the tools, which I really like. So you can easily see before and after. It's a subtle start, but already you can see that it starts to isolate from the background. And then the second tool I would use is structure, because you've got to have structure. And if I do a zoom on my image to have it at 100% and I increase structure, you will see that he chalked his hands and there's a lot of chalk in the air, and we can see it right here. So I like to use boosts for small details. I feel like it picks it up very well, really nicely.
And a lot of people ask what boost does, but boost is like adding an HDR effect. Paying attention to the finest of the finest details.
I really love it. Sometimes I use it even more than the amount one here. And another tip I wanted to share with you is if you really do like to use mask layer, you can easily copy and paste from a tool to another. So it's really convenient and really fast. So what I will do, I will go back into my Enhance AI. I will go back into the Add Mask tool and I will copy it. So we remember I've just painted on the athlete. I'll copy it and I will paste it on my structure tool. And then it's already done.
Oh.
And oh wait, I will add, oh wait. I will paint it just a little higher so it picks up nicely all the chalk that's in the air. So you can see right here, and I will do the same thing with details. So we'll copy this one. I will go in details. Let me just go back to, okay. So we can see the whole image. I will go generously with the details and I will paste it once again. So it takes like a fraction of a second and it allows me to keep the background as smooth as I like it to be, to really separate the athlete from the background. And you could see it's going really nicely right away. And I love the dramatic tool to increase contrast and decrease saturation. Let's say I'm going crazy with this one. So you could just really see what it does. Okay, it's like this wow effect. I feel like it's a little too strong to my taste. I will just tone it down a little bit. Maybe like this. And then I really love to add LUT to have like this color grading professional look. One of my favorite ones is the Candlelight because it adds even more contrast and a kind of a warm feel mood to the image. Let me show you before and after.
Oh yeah.
I really like it. And you were talking about Flash earlier. And one way to do that is to paint the Enhance tool only on the subject. And you can also use, and I use it like all the time since it came out, I'm always using it, is the Face AI. It's like bringing your own reflector or your own flash. And I'm just crazy about it. I always use it. And because it's an AI, it's AI powered, if you have many people in your image, it works like on 5 or 10 people at the same time in the same frame. So it's amazing. Let me increase it just a little bit. And unfortunately, he was kind of struggling with the weight. So his eyes are not showing too much. So I could use, you know, the eye enhancer, but it won't show really nicely because there's not a lot to show
Well,
to start with.
400 pounds. Hesitancy of doing that to someone.
And then you could do, you know, a little dark circles removal. I really love this face AI feature since it came out. And I feel like it allows me, let's say I do a photo shoot for an event and I do a batch processing. Before that, I would have never have, you know, like play with remove imperfection or enhance eyes or things like that, or smooth the skin. I would never do that if I had to deliver like 500 pictures. It was like a lot of work for, you know. And now when you create a preset or a look, you can save this inside your look and it's going to be applied to each and every single image you're going to apply this look to. So it's amazing. If it was a female athlete, I would use a little bit of skin AI, but because it's a guy, and I want to keep all the details, the veins and everything, so I won't touch the skin in this
and the
particular.
tattoos.
And yeah, he's got. Every time I see Max, he's got a new one on his. I feel like I'm going to have his 2 arms covered by the end of the year.
Well, that's a nice crop right there too.
What, sorry?
That was a nice crop too. How you had it zoomed in. If you
Yeah,
had a
it
crop.
was. That's right. I really like it. Let's crop it. Let's crop it. I like the free composition option because, if you're printing or something like that, you want to keep some type of ratio. But for me, if it's only for the internet, I will just go with a free crop and go with whatever feels like it's the right composition for my image. Sometimes I have really horizontal ones. Sometimes I have very vertical ones, just depending on the mood that I am in. Let's go with this. And we don't need the wall there. Let's go really close, like this. As I'm cropping, do you have any questions or anything?
Oh, that's very good.
Okay, great. So we feel like we're more in the action.
I'm zooming right in.
And so that's how that would be like my composition. It was a squat clean, the squat clean portion of the clean and jerk. And when you're happy with the look you've got, so this is the before and this is what it looks like after. And let's say that I've taken like, I don't know, a dozen images with Max in this gym, and I want to apply the look to all the images. One way I can do that is just to save the look. So how to save your presets? You go, I think it's the same, it's placed at the same portion, I'm looking for my words. Sorry, I haven't spoken English for like a couple of weeks. So in Mac, it's at the bottom right.
Yep.
You have 3 dots. Is it the same in PC?
Same in Windows, yes.
Okay, Windows.
And that's your template.
Exactly.
Save as a template.
So you just click on the 3 dots, save.
Yep.
And it's going to be saved. When you want to find it, you go back to the templates panel.
Exactly.
And you go into my templates.
Now we changed it with this new version to look at all of it's compressed in one spot, which is awesome.
Oh, yeah. You mean right here?
Yep. Exactly.
So to find the ones that you've saved, you go to my templates, and the last one you've saved shows at the top. So this one,
and then from there you can rename it.
Yeah,
you can rename it and stuff. And notice it actually takes a thumbnail image of what you were working on and makes the thumbnail.
Really nice. So you can recognize Max, a small Max right here. And that was pretty much my tip.
Oh, that's great.
Sometimes another trick that I like to do is I like to create like a moodier style. I go into tuning and I play with the shadows and I add a cool tone to the shadows, like so.
Yeah, because it's neat. Because now you can control the shadows and the highlights independently.
Exactly. When you go with balance, you can even decide what depth of the shadow or the highlights you want to pick up. Because I don't want to pick up the face, so I will move it to the right. And now it's picking mostly like the background and the shirt. And maybe this is a little generous. And you can see how I feel like for intense sports, when you add a cooler tones to the image, it makes it even more like moodier.
Exactly. More intense. Well, hey, that's great, Michelle. Now, you want to stop your screen for a moment, sharing? Now,
Yes.
do you happen to have a female athlete that you've worked on?
Not at the moment right now. Wait, let me see, maybe.
Yeah, you look for one, but I want to answer a couple quick questions.
Yeah.
One question I want to answer that's way back here. I believe it was Jim. Yeah, so Jim, they're having problems. We're Windows users. If you install Luminar Update 2 and it crashes on you, easiest solution is rename your catalog. So typically your catalog is located in your pictures folder. Just put an underscore or something underneath in that catalog, rename it, and then relaunch Luminar again, and it'll recreate a whole new catalog. What's happening is your old Luminar and your new Luminar are using the same catalog, and it's corrupting it somehow. So try that as a solution, and it should be up and running really quickly. All right, I'm going to share my screen just for a moment. Now, it's neat that Michelle and I both, we attacked the situation the same. Now, here was a bunch of the FIT. In fact, I think you were with me when they showed up.
Yeah.
So here's a real quick FIT group. One thing I don't have in here is the very first image is where the man's not wearing any uniform or not wearing any gloves. And I just said to him, you know what? It's not going to look good. You have to have your gear on. So with what Michelle just did is a great example to where, let's say this image here, we'll go to templates. I already have it set. So my templates, let's see. I created one a little bit earlier today for them particularly, but here we go. So I used the base of it was the sports quit look. And then you could tweak it slightly. Because like in your case, Michelle, you're dealing with different lighting conditions.
Yes.
So you may start out in one and then tweak it until you get it to where you want it.
Yeah.
And then just resave it again, maybe as a different version. And then select all those images that pertain to that lighting effect. And then there's your batch processing. Now, what's neat about this is we shot it on black and did it like this. It doesn't look great like this. This is how we actually imagined it. And so that right about something like this.
Yeah.
Sort of tech there. They wanted it to be on a postcard. And now with this blank space here was the player, his number, all the information about him. So sometimes in a case like this, you got to shoot wide or shoot excessive because the art department may want to do something different with that. So interesting. Now, Michelle, did you find a female athlete?
Yeah, let me share my screen. Oh, you have to stop sharing yours, I guess.
There you
go. Share screen. Okay, is it working? So this is an already edited version. And I love the fact that you said what you can do when you like a look. So this is...
Or a template now.
A template.
Another templates.
So when you like a template, you just tweak it and you save it. And what's really cool is when you decide to get a template package or anything to really make it your own, you apply it and then you change, the settings and everything. So it becomes your own look and you're not just using somebody else's look.
Exactly. See, and then that's the most powerful feature with Luminar is the AI. It's coming out and you start out using that template, especially for inspiration or motivation. Right? Because sometimes you're like, okay, you see an image, you're kind of stuck with it. You throw a template on it, you're like, ooh, this looks really good. And sometimes that's all you need, and you move on to the next one. Or sometimes that's what you need to get you started.
Yeah.
And then you go down the rabbit hole, and all of a sudden you end up creating this really cool template that just comes out phenomenal.
Exactly. So it's a great starting point when you have the blank page syndrome, or I don't know how you call this. And then you just try different looks and you say, oh, this looks really nice. And I'm going to add this and this. And then you come up with a really great looking image.
Awesome. So what are you doing extra to this image now?
I was just playing with, I love, when I do a black and white template, I like to add film grain, even if there's no grain, because, it adds like this vintage feel to it. Maybe you don't.
You're right. Isn't it funny how you do so much to try to get rid of that film grain?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you find an image like this, and you're like, you know what? It really looks good by bringing it back.
I'm going to add some. Yeah. And what's interesting is something you can't do when it's done in camera. It's, let's say I want to add grain, but for some reason, I want it to be more subtle on the skin or on the face of the subject. Then I can just, erase at like 50%. So I keep all the beautiful features and details in the face. And still I have this vintage look to the rest of the image. And if I wouldn't have told you, if I wouldn't have tell you,
yeah,
you wouldn't know.
Well, it's that little extra, especially when you go to print, it fills in the gaps in some of the highlights.
True. Yeah. And, a great black and white look. When you have a highly contrasted image, I feel it's a great way to save your image, because this picture has been taken, it was noon. Like the sun was right above us, and it was a really hard condition to shoot.
Oh, wow.
And I've decided, you know what? I'm just going to do a black and white and recover, details in the shadows where I want to. And I just saved it as a great black and white. And I really...
So that original shot was outdoors?
It was.
Wow.
It's my only Olympic weightlifting photo, the only weightlifting photo shoot I've ever done outdoors.
See, so isn't that interesting? Because people think when you think the Olympics, this was a qualifier, I take it, right?
They were practicing, but some of them were qualified for the Olympics.
Gotcha. They think center stage, all these lights, everything looks nope. No. It only can be that easy. So,
oh yeah, if it could. Usually in the gyms, it's really poor lighting and everything. This is why I love the face light. It's the real saver for gym and indoor portraiture. It's great.
One thing I just want to reemphasize here is that you've really made Luminar your own. You've come up with your own ways of using it. You've come up with your own style. A lot of people say, oh, I don't want to use AI because it's going to change the way I edit. It's going to make all my images look the same. How do you address that? Because you've customized it to your workflow, right?
Yeah, I did. I feel like maybe I had the same point of view about AI and I wasn't sure. And now that I'm using it like all the time, I just feel like it makes my work, it makes me more efficient. And I feel like if I want to add more or less, I have the final word on what I want my image to look like. And it's not a computer, it's telling me what my image should look like. So I'm working, with all the enhanced AI, skin AI. It's just a big time saver. And you add as much or as little as you want. You save it as a template, and then it works for you like for a million times after that. So I feel to me it's been a great addition to my workflow.
Well, that's awesome.
Awesome. Well, I'll get out of the way. You got another great guest coming, but Vanelli, whenever you need to, you can unpin that coupon code. Just remove the spotlight from it, but you can leave that up for folks. And Michelle, did you share your website where people can check out your work and see your portfolio?
I haven't. You mean?
You can put that in the chat pod if you want.
I will.
Just type that into the chat so people can follow up with you. And there's also some stories, and you've shared some articles in the insiders community where you shared some of your photo editing tips so people can check you out there as well.
Yes, of course. I will be glad to see everyone there.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you, Michelle. Yeah,
Hi,
so
Michelle.
pop it in the chat before you leave.
Oh, yes, I will. Sorry.
Yep. Now, ironically, Michelle and I met at a convention, and I ended up working with her, become one of her mentors. But this is where Luminar Insiders gives you that same advantage, to where when you join that group, it's free. You're in there to collaborate with other like-minded people, and if you have questions and you want to learn something new, there are so many people there that can help you and work with you. And of course, you have the rest of us there, to where you need to ask questions, you'll get your answers for the things you need. So if you're not part of the insider at Skylum.com, make sure you join in on it.